Hello everybody, Tommyruin here, and one of the most common things I've been getting asked recently is, "Yo Tommy, is this any good for starter abilities?" And every time I give the same answers. So what I'm going to do is run down some sets of abilities that I think are very good wildcard starts for tanks, melee DPS, caster DPS and healers in 4 separate videos. Now I've already run down the melee DPS, and in this video I'm going to be going over the 6 caster DPS builds that I think are worth aiming towards if you're going to be spending time re-rolling. Now in the last video we did 5, in this video we've got 6 because there are so many more combinations that you can start with as a caster DPS. But before we start, I just want to cover some general points for these builds that are regular occurrences throughout most of them. Firstly, Life Tap. Life Tap is an extremely important spell and is very nice to have as a caster. It is hands down the best mana regeneration tool. I put this as an ability to aim for most of this, well, for each of the specs because they can all benefit from it considerably. Without Life Tap, you have to invest significantly in mana regeneration talents, which reduces the talent points you can invest towards damage. These problems don't exist with Life Tap, and if you're in a group situation with a healer or you pick up a heal as you level, you won't have to worry about the health trade-off that comes with regenerating mana for health. And then secondly, we have Summon Imp. Summon Imp is only 2 ability essence and provides more than 1 benefit than the extra damage. Through the Imp you have a health buff through Blood Pact, you have a fire shield to do damage to attackers, and a free damage source from the Imp itself. Imps untalented offer 2 to 3% damage from my experience, so are a nice addition to any build. Furthermore, through the Demonic Knowledge talent in the Demonology Warlock, they offer a very nice spell power boost, which will benefit all spellcaster builds. Okay, so now we've got those 2 covered, let's go back into the builds. So at number 6 we have Moonfire and Arcane Missiles. These 2 spells are both arcane damage, and this build will focus around the synergy between Moonfire and Arcane Missiles through the Missile Barrage talent in the Arcane Mage tree. This talent gives your Moonfire ticks a 20% chance when fully talented to proc a shorter, burstier Arcane Missiles. If you pick up Arcane Power, a 15% damage increase for 15 seconds whilst leveling, or as a chosen ability at level 60, you can make use of the Power Overwhelming legendary enchant. This enchant reduces the cooldown of Arcane Power based on the number of times you hit with Arcane Missiles, so there is some great synergy there and allows for some high uptime on Arcane Power. As mentioned, Life Tap and Summon Imp are great pickups here, and a nice pickup along the way for this build would be Arcane Explosion for the AoE damage. At number 5 then, we have Frostbolt. Now this spell on its own is a build. A rather boring one, but a build nonetheless. For this build you'll want to stack spell power and pick up the frost damage to increase talents. Don't forget to pick up Burnout in the Fire Mage tree, as this one is often left out. There are a few choices for talents at level 60 depending on what you get whilst leveling up. Elemental Focus is a nice choice for the clear casting and pairs up nicely with Elemental Oath for 10% increased damage when you get a clear casting proc. If you want some bursty cooldowns, you can look at Icy Veins in Frost Mage or Power Infusion in Discipline Priest. Deep Freeze is also a nice pickup as it can be used in both PvE and PvP. For this build, the legendary enchant you want to look for is Ice Barrage, which allows for a 4% increased chance for Fingers of Frost to proc. Some nice pickups here are the 2 mentioned before, and Auto Shot is also a surprisingly nice pairing to this. If your bow weapon speed is slower than the casting speed, then you'll be able to weave in auto shots between your casts for free extra DPS. Combining this with the Hunter talent Careful Aim, which converts intellect into ranged attack power, really maximizes this nice combo. At number 4 we have Smite. Smite is another extremely strong spell, and especially here in Ascension, because not only is there no holy resistance, but there are modified talents to increase holy damage from spells like Smite and Holy Fire. With this build you can start with Life Tap, Imp, and really go to town doing nice damage with your Holy Smites. This build can go down 2 routes depending on if you get Holy Fire. If you get Holy Fire, then you can use the Holy Ascension legendary random enchant, which upon casting Holy Fire will empower your Smite. if you don't end up getting Holy Fire, look towards Righteous Zealot, which gives extra holy damage upon spell casts, as well as a small amount of group healing. For this build, you will want to put your talent points into increasing your holy damage, and these talents are found in the Holy and Ret Paladin and Discipline and Holy Priest trees. Crit is a great stat to look for, as the Holy Specialization talent increases the critical strike damage bonus of your holy spells by 100%. For level 60, my personal recommendation is to not pick up Penance. It has its uses in PvP and as a self-heal, but personally I choose DPS cooldown talents like Power Infusion or Arcane Power, as casting Smite will do more damage than Penance. Okay, so at number 3 we have a very basic combo with Fireball and Fire Blast. These two synergize extremely nicely with the Flame On legendary random enchant. This enchant increases the critical strike chance of your Fire Blast by 33%, stacking up to 3 times when you use Fireball. A nice pickup for this build is Pyroblast for the Hot Streak synergy, with talents, REs and gear being aimed towards critical strike. This will also allow for a high amount of ignite damage. If you aren't lucky enough to pick up Flame Strike while you're leveling, Living Bomb could be chosen as some extra fire AoE potential. At number 2 we have the Lightning Bolt and Earth Shock combo. This utilises the random enchant Booming Thunder, which gives increased Earth Shock damage when you use Lightning Bolt. This spec is very simple, you simply build up stacks using Lightning Bolt and then spend them on very bursty Earth Shocks. An honourable mention for this build to start with is Searing Totem, as it adds free DPS and has synergy with the talents through Elemental Fury. Whilst leveling, you'll want to keep an eye out for Chain Lightning and Magma Totem for the cleave potential they offer. Talents wise, at level 60, I pick up Call of the Elements for the 5% crit chance, Elemental Focus for the combination with Elemental Oath, and depending on if I have 1 or 2 points left, choose Power Infusion, Icy Veins or Arcane Power with 2 AE, or Shamanistic Focus for the 5% crit chance on Earth Shock if I only had 1 ability essence left. And at number 1 we have a very versatile combination with Corruption and Shadow Bolt. These two have multiple synergy points. Both of them do shadow damage, and there is the Nightfall talent that gives a small chance at an instant cast Shadow Bolt proc, and the Molten Core talent that gives a 12% chance on corruption damage to increase the crit chance of Shadow Bolt by 30% and reduce its cast time by 30%. Now, in my opinion, this build can go 2 ways, depending on your preference. Firstly, you can look towards Shadow Form. This gives a flat 10% shadow damage increase, as well as a built-in threat reduction, which is very handy, especially on Wildcard where you can't pick up things like Feign Death and Fade. With the spare ability essence, I'd look towards Devastation for the 5% increased crit chance on Shadow Bolt, or Pandemic, which allows corruption to critically hit and benefit from haste. With this build, any of the generic passive damage legendary enchants would be useful, with Deathbringer having the shadow damage synergy as well as offering some life gain potential. Alternatively, if you start with Imp, you can go down the Metamorphosis path. While still utilising the core combination between Shadow Bolt and Corruption, you also bring in the Imp aspect. Like my Imp spec video linked in the description, we'll be utilising the Imp to unleash its damage potential and create some nice crit chains between you and the Imp. Here we will be using the Demonic Influence random enchant to keep 100% uptime on Metamorphosis and increase our pet's damage. Metamorphosis has built-in AoE, which is also a big advantage. So there are 6 builds which you can rely upon from level 1 abilities. Like I mentioned, it's hard to stress the benefit of Life Tap giving that amazing mana regeneration potential. Some other pickups that you could look for are Arcane Intellect for the increased intellect, Blessing of Wisdom for the mana regeneration, Searing Totem for the passive damage it offers, and Auto Shot, like I mentioned, weaving in between your spell casts. Some nice abilities to pick up whilst leveling are Flame Tongue Weapon for the increased spell damage, or Firestones for the spell crit and damage they offer. A heal over time is also a great pickup, as it reduces downtime when combined with Life Tap to keep mana up. So that is all from this video. Next up I'll do a ranged DPS start video, which will honestly be much shorter than this, as there are limited potential options for a ranged DPS, but stay tuned for that one, as that's going to be coming soon. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Make sure to give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. There is also a Discord channel linked in the description, so make sure to check that one out too. And with that, thanks again, and I will see you all very soon.